I never imagined a no-nanny week with the Millionaire CEO's twins would change my life forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The skies above were dark and heavy, mirroring the knot in my stomach. My heart raced as I stood before the enormous mansion, all glistening marble and ornate pillars. The twins were waiting for me, bright-eyed and mischievous, ready to turn my world upside down. Emma and Ethan, just 7 years old, were whirlwinds of energy. Emma, with her wild curls and infectious giggle, had a knack for getting into trouble. Ethan was the quieter one, always observing, his big blue eyes reflecting 1,000 unspoken thoughts. Everyone said they were just like their father, the notorious CEO, with a forceful presence and a reputation for being a mastermind in the world of business. I could practically feel the weight of that legacy hanging over me as I stepped inside. As I entered, the smell of fresh cookies filled the air, a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding me. The laughter of the twins bounced off the walls, echoing like a siren song that pulled me deeper into their world. I had taken this job as a temporary nanny, thinking it would be an easy week to earn some money. I didn't know what I was getting into. There were whispers of secrets, strange happenings in that mansion, rumors hidden just beneath the surface. Each day grew more chaotic. One moment, I was chasing Emma around the garden, her laughter ringing like music. The next, I'd find Ethan staring out the window, lost to some private dream, a small frown crossing his forehead. That week, I witnessed strange occurrences, toys moving on their own, flickering lights when no wind was blowing, and shadows dancing across the walls as if alive. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, lurking just outside of my understanding. As the days passed, trust grew between us. Their innocent smiles masked layers of complexity. We became a small family, finding joy in hidden corners and secret forts built from couch cushions. But that trust came with a cost. Late one night, after the twins were tucked into bed, I stumbled upon an old photograph hidden in a dusty book on the shelf. The faces in the picture made my breath hitch. It was their mother, a woman with the same bright eyes as the twins, yet her smile was shadowed by sorrow. For a single heartbeat, I felt a chill creep down my spine. Who was she? Why did she fade from their lives? And just as I began to connect the dots, a loud crash broke the silence. I rushed to the source of the noise, finding the twins standing in the doorway of the once chaotic living room, eyes wide with fear. Then, just as suddenly, the power went out. Darkness enveloped us, thick and suffocating. I squinted into the black, heart pounding as the twins clung to my sides. The panic was palpable. In that moment, I felt it, a rush of danger lurking in the shadows, a mystery aching to spill its secrets. What was hidden in this mansion? What had I stumbled into? I felt breathless, the air thick with questions, uncertainty wrapping around us like a net. The shadows seemed to whisper, and I realized, I was trapped in a game far bigger than I could imagine. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The darkness felt alive, a creeping presence that cocooned us in its embrace. Fumbling for whatever warmth I could muster, I pulled the twins closer to me. Their small bodies trembled against mine, their breath quickened, a mix of fear and confusion swirling in the air around us. I could feel their hearts beating in sync with mine, a rapid thrum that underscored the gravity of our situation. Stay close, I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady despite the panic in my chest. I had never been the brave one, but I wouldn't let them see my finesse now, not when they needed me. I could hear their whisper-soft breaths and felt their tight grips on my arms as we navigated the suffocating darkness, moving tentatively toward the light of the hallway. Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed from somewhere upstairs. I froze, an icy chill creeping up my spine. The twins clung tighter to my waist, their wide eyes reflecting the whispers of the shadows surrounding us. It felt as though the mansion had a pulse, an anxious heartbeat that quickened with each creak of the floorboards above. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice wavering, the question betraying the strength I tried to project. Silence answered me, stretching taut in the air, and for a moment, I wondered if perhaps it was not a person I sensed above, but something far more sinister lurking in our midst. Before I could collect my thoughts, a small flicker of light pierced the darkness, a sliver from the twins' room. The shadows dissipated slightly, drawing the twins and me toward it as if pulled by an unseen force. My heart raced, both with fear and an unexpected thrill of curiosity. What could possibly be waiting for us on the other side? As we entered their room, we found the source of the light. Ethan had somehow managed to light a small lamp, its glow fragile yet illuminating. The soft, warm light cast flickering shadows against the walls, transforming them into friendly shapes that momentarily eased the tension in the air. "There was something moving," Ethan said, his voice small yet steady. His big blue eyes looked at me, desperate for reassurance. Emma, her wild curls now a tangled mess around her face, nodded fervently, expressing a blend of excitement and terror. It was in the hallway. I knelt before them, needing to be the steady anchor amid the uncertainty. "What did you see, sweetheart?" I asked, trying to keep my tone soothing, though the fears echoed in my own mind. "There was something there," Emma insisted, eyes wide with the thrill of the unknown. "A shadow. It had wings, wings." I echoed, trying to ground the wild imagery in my rational mind. "Are you sure?" Ethan nodded, a serious expression replacing his earlier fear. "It was watching us." A shiver traveled through me, something about their words strange and unsettling. Their mother had also been described in hushed whispers, a figure lost to them, her absence echoing through the walls of this mansion. I glanced around, the lamp's light felt fragile against the mysteries that pressed against the edges of our reality. "Okay, let's be brave together. We can check it out," I said, standing up to put distance between the fear and us. A determined spark lit in Ethan's eyes, bravery intertwining with his inherent curiosity. Emma, however, eyed the door hesitantly, the thrill of being a brave adventurer fading into uncertainty. "I don't want to," she confessed, her lower lip trembling. Just then, I spotted a glimmer of gold in the corner of the room, half hidden beneath Ethan's bed. Curiosity took hold. "What's that?" I knelt down to retrieve it, my fingers brushing against the cool metal, and I gasped at what lay in my palm. A small locket, dented and scratched but unmistakably beautiful, with intricate designs wrapping around its surface. "What is it?" Ethan whispered, peering over my shoulder. As I opened it, a beautiful photograph slipped out, revealing a face that was achingly familiar. The woman in the picture was a younger version of the woman from the photograph I had found in the library. This was their mother, radiant and filled with life, yet she wore that same shadow of grief. Yet, the photograph held a secret. It was taken in this very garden, one that we had ventured into, filled with laughter and light. Suddenly, the silence shattered once more as a loud crash erupted from the stairwell, pulling us back to the present. The cheeks of the twins turned pale, reflecting the stark terror of the unknown. Whatever had moved outside was coming closer. "Run," I urged, clutching the locket tightly, a talisman against the darkness. As we fled from the room, the shadows of our fears trailing behind us. Heart racing, I grasped the twins' hands as we dashed toward the staircase, racing against whatever evil was awakening in the depths of this mansion. In our frantic escape, I could feel something shifting, a bond forming among us, deepening in this chaos. But as we reached the bottom of the stairs, a sudden realization struck me like lightning: the path we were on might not lead to safety after all. Standing there, under the dim light cast by the flickering chandelier, I spotted a figure emerging from the shadows, and the haunting familiarity of their eyes nearly brought me to my knees. The locket slipped from my fingers, hitting the floor with a chilling finality. I found myself staring into the face of the twins' father. The echo of secrets radiated around us, and the mysteries unraveled began to scream for attention. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice but a whisper against the weight of truth standing before us, my heart pounding in my chest. With an icy calm, he stepped closer, his expression unreadable. "I think it's time we finally spoke about your role in this family." An unearthly chill swept through the hall, and an even deeper mystery loomed ahead. The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken truths as I stared into the eyes of the man I had only heard whispered about in the twins' dreams and nightmares. The flickering light from the chandelier seemed to pulsate in rhythm with my racing heart, and for a moment, the world around us blurred as his presence filled the space with an undeniable tension. "Your role in this family?" I echoed, the chill creeping up my spine again. Why did it feel like a question laced with both irony and sincerity? And what did he truly mean? Ethan and Emma had stepped slightly behind me, their small forms almost searching for refuge in my presence, but I felt anything but brave. The whispers we had conjured in the shadows of this mansion paled in comparison to the reality standing before us. The twins' father was a figure shrouded in secrecy and pain, just like the woman in the locket. "Who are you?" I pressed again, my voice more resolute this time, needing to pierce the veil of mystery that surrounded him. His expression softened momentarily, as if lost in a void of memories before he composed himself, gathering shadows like a cloak around him. "I've come to find you," he said, his voice low and inviting, but a chill crept through his words not unlike the darkness we had fled. And the twins that 1,000 questions surged through my mind, each one more urgent than the last, but before I could voice any of them, I became acutely aware of the tension that hung heavily in the air around us. In that instant, the chandelier flickered ominously before going dark, plunging us into an eerie gloom that swallowed the hall. "Stay close, kids." I called out instinctively, pulling Ethan and Emma behind me again, the three of us forming a fragile wall against whatever darkness dared to advance. The air was thick, almost suffocating, and yet, amid the twisting tendrils of uncertainty, a spark of resilience ignited inside me. "What do you mean by finding us?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling only slightly. He took a step closer, the shadows obscuring his face, but I could see pain etched into his features, pain that mirrored the lost years of separation, pain I had unknowingly become privy to just by holding the twins' lives in my hands. "There are things you don't understand," he said, his gaze flickering to the locket on the floor, glimmering in the faint light that emanated from the hall around us. "Things about their mother that put us all in danger the day she disappeared." "Danger?" I repeated, feeling the twins clench my sides. Emma's small hand brushed against my back as if to ground herself against the heaviness of the moment. "What kind of danger?" Before he could respond, a distant crashing sound echoed from somewhere deep within the mansion, followed by what sounded like whispers threading through the walls, the echoes of forgotten voices demanding recognition. The twins gasped simultaneously, their wide eyes searching my face for comfort, for clarity, for strength. "Stay here," I instructed the twins softly, my heart racing with the need to protect them, even as a part of me felt compelled to discover the truth he was about to reveal. I took a cautious step forward, my body a tense coil, ready to spring into action if needed. His gaze softened, revealing the sorrow buried beneath layers of responsibility. "You need to trust me," he implored, and for a heartbeat, I almost felt the warmth of familiarity in his tone. My mind, however, warred against instinct. Trust felt like a dangerous gamble when everything seemed so precariously poised. "Trust is earned," I replied, allowing a sliver of defiance to seep into my voice. Questions surged like a tidal wave, one after the other. Who had he become in our absence? Why now? What was shared between him and the twins, hidden beneath the surface of their innocent laughter? "Your bond with them," he started, but I could see the shadows flickering in his gaze, thickening with secrets, tightening around the truth of their existence like a vice. I didn't want to disrupt it until a door slammed shut farther down the hallway, cutting through his words and sending a fresh wave of dread through our small gathering. My stomach lurched, instinctively signaling that the air was turning sinister too quickly. "What was that?" Ethan whispered, fear dancing in his blue eyes. I could feel Emma tremble beside him, and it drove me to act. "Everyone needs to stay close now," I murmured, carefully inching back toward the twins. Their father stared at me, a mixture of admiration and something like frustration in his eyes. The unease woven between us complicated an already precarious situation, one where each moment hung in the balance. "That if you don't take this seriously," he started, but before he could finish, an eerie sound roared through the air, a guttural cry that reverberated through the walls of the mansion like a ghost in distress. SSSH. I urged the twins, pulling them firmly against me as the shadows morphed around us, deepening their engulfing grasp, a living pulse throbbing through the very foundation of the manor. The twins whimpered, their small bodies pressing tightly against mine, their fear palpable in the air as we braced for whatever awaited us. It was a nightmare unfolding, accompanied by a chilling realization this was not just about who the twins' father was, nor merely the shadows hiding secrets of the past. No, there was something alive in this mansion that craved attention, that stirred restlessly in the dark. A heartbeat pulsed behind the walls, and as the air thickened with dread, I could see it wouldn't just reveal itself, it demanded acknowledgement. That I turned to face their father, my determination flaring anew. Whatever it is, we face it together. He nodded slowly, a hint of respect curling at the edges of his mouth. And as the shadows licked closer, I could sense them wrapping around our ankles like creeping vines, the very atmosphere whispering of unfathomable secrets. My heart hammered as I prepared for the unknown, feeling the twins entwined with me, the warmth of their trust a fragile candle in the overwhelming dark. With each breath, I could feel the weight of that moment, the past's echoes filling the silence, but I didn't dare turn away. And then, from the depths of the shadows, a figure detached itself, flickering into existence and rendering me breathless. It was not just a shadow, it was a silhouette that belonged to someone I had thought lost forever. Mom. Emma's voice cracked, sending a shiver of disbelief through my spine. As I stood frozen, the fine line between reality and the unimaginable blurred. The haunting revelation loomed ahead, threatening to unravel everything I thought I knew about this family and the mysterious forces entwined within the darkness. The room felt impossibly small as the figure emerged from the shadows, her presence weaving between the flickering hints of light and the darkness that had smothered us. Emma's voice sliced through the tension with despair, yet it echoed with a flicker of hope I could hardly grasp. Could it truly be her? Mom. The word fell from Emma's lips like a prayer, each syllable weighted with longing and disbelief. Ethan's hand tightened around mine, his small fingers trembling against my skin as he gazed at the apparition before us, wide-eyed like a deer caught in headlights. For a heartbeat, time stood still. The figure before us, vague and ethereal, stood in a flow of shadows and light, a myth come to life. She looked the same as I remembered from faded photographs, the way her hair cascaded around her shoulders, the soft curve of her smile that had danced on the edges of my dreams, was nearly unreal, but as the darkness shifted, so did the warmth of familiarity. A cold dread blossomed in my stomach. No mother should have to emerge from the dark like this, a specter rather than a savior. Emma, Ethan, she breathed, her voice a haunting echo of tender memories, the kind that had carried the weight of an unspoken sorrow. "I'm here, why? Where have you been?" Ethan's voice cracked, remnants of childlike wonder enveloped in a cloak of confusion. "Mom, it's really you," Emma whispered again, as if repeating the words could solidify the vision before us. I felt the twins lean into my arms for safety, and the ache of their longing twisted painfully within me, yet for every spark of hope they kindled in their hearts, I felt it countered by an unsettling truth. "You're not, are you real?" I found myself asking, my voice trembling against the tide of emotions crashing through me. The words hung in the air again, thick with tension, but her expression faltered. "Even when you can't see me, I've always been watching," she said softly, her gaze flitting between us but lingering on the twins, an ineffable sadness etched onto her features. "There are things you need to know, truths that must come to light, truths." I repeated, feeling a mix of apprehension and curiosity roiling within me. The air felt charged, electric with possibilities, but a sickening dread settled into my bones. What truths lay on the horizon, and at what cost would they come? "I didn't leave by choice," she continued, retreating into a shadow behind her that seemed eager to engulf her whole. "There are forces at play that threaten our family, and I had to protect you." "Protect us from what?" I couldn't help but voice, desperation lacing my tone. The twins were squeezed tighter against me, their little bodies trembling as they clung to me like shipwrecked passengers, terrified and unsure. "From him," she gestured, and for the first time, her eyes flickered to the man standing just a few feet away. The twins father a stranger and yet a ghost who loomed too closely at the edges of their reality. He hasn't changed, the word hung in the air like a specter, and a wave of confusion rushed over me. I glanced at him, trying to read something anything in his expression. What was it that aligned him with the threats that haunted their mother? Why don't you come to us? I asked, my voice barely rising above a whisper, the ache in my heart growing heavier. Why now? Why would you leave us again? You said you were watching. That I was, she implored, her voice trembling with restraint, but I needed to ensure your lives were safe, believe me. Time is before she could finish, the ground beneath us trembled, the oppressive darkness swirling in a slithering storm around us. The chandelier trembled above, strands of light flickering erratically as if preparing to shatter under the immense pressure. My heart raced as the walls seemed to pulse with energy, and I felt the twins grip my arms tighter. Calm down, I whispered, more for myself than for the children, my sense of urgency heightening in time with the chaos around us. Mom, Emma cried out again, her voice raw with fear. The strain on her face etched deeper with every heartbeat, and I felt my own resolve beginning to fracture. Please, we want you here. A sudden crash erupted from deep within the darkened mansion, sending shards of cold dread ricocheting through the air. Shadows flickered, bolts of energy crackling as the room deepened in intensity. Do not let him take you, she said, her voice gaining strength amidst the turmoil. You have to leave. Now. Get out of this house before. And just like that, the air shifted as she began to fade, tearing at the fabric of my heart, each fragment thrusting me deeper into despair. I felt the twins' pleas wrapping around my consciousness, cementing my feet to the floor, unable to comply with the burning urgency pounding in my chest. Mom. Don't go. Ethan's voice echoed, caught in the chaos, a potent cocktail of panic, disbelief, and grief mixing starkly against the backdrop of the chaos. Listen to me. She implored, her image flickering like a flame on the verge of extinguishing. You cannot trust him. The darkness is clawing through the walls, and only by uncovering the truth can you protect yourselves. With one last desperate flicker, she turned her gaze on their father. Ensure their safety. Please. Then she was gone. A whisper of hope extinguished, leaving behind the suffocating shadows that clawed at my sanity. And yet, amid the turmoil, a single realizable thought emerged through the mist. I could not trust a man shrouded in mystery and darkness, especially when the only light remembered was the glimmer of their mother's love. The shadows encroached closer, the walls closing in as another guttural cry lurched through the very bones of the mansion, mingling with every heart-wrenching scream within. Stay together. I yelled, driving against the tide of despair as I braced to face whatever was happening. But even as I summoned each ounce of strength, a bone-chilling realization settled deep within me. Truth was far more elusive than I had ever imagined, and it was only the beginning of a journey I couldn't yet fathom. Get back. I shouted, as the darkness morphed and twisted around us, revealing contours of grotesque figures emerging from the depths. They writhed and danced, mocking the horror of my reality, and it dawned on me his was not just about protecting the twins anymore. It was a fight for survival, against shadows that threatened to take everything away. With the kids pressed against me, I knew that no matter the darkness that enveloped us, we had to fight, to reclaim the truths hidden within the depths of this cursed mansion. And with every heartbeat, we would plunge into the unknown, stepping forward toward whatever horrors lay ahead, even if it meant stepping deeper into the shadows themselves. The echo of our mother's fading voice lingered in the heavy air, coiling around us like a snake, squeezing the breath from my lungs. I felt helpless, caught in a nightmare where the shadows bore down with an oppressive weight. The children trembled beside me, and I clenched my jaw, willing myself to remain strong. Hold on tight, I urged, my voice shaking as I shifted my stance to illuminate the narrow passage we had come through. The once inviting hallway, filled with whispers of laughter and warmth, now loomed over us like a threatening specter, the walls closing in as though the house itself conspired against us. Is she gone? Emma asked, her voice small and fragile. Is she really gone? I wanted nothing more than to gaze into my daughter's eyes and offer her comfort, to tell her everything would be all right. Yet, as the shadows writhed and leaned into us, I was confronted with the bitter truth I didn't know. Let's keep moving, I said resolutely, the denial feeding courage into my marrow. Panic lanced through my core, mingling with the cold sludge of fear that threatened to swallow us whole. "Well, figure this out together," Ethan whimpered, his small hand clutching my shirt tighter. The lingering scent of lemon and fresh linens hung in the air, a stark reminder of blissful normalcy that felt terrifically far away now. I squeezed his hand back, forcing a steadiness I didn't feel. With every step we took, the shadows shifted, seeming to shift underfoot as though the very paint on the walls conspired to swallow us. I fought to keep a rational mind, but my thoughts were battered by fear, racing through chilling possibilities of what lurked here in this forsaken mansion. "Maybe we can find another way out," Emma suggested, blinking back tears as she surveyed the oppressive darkness swirling around us like a malevolent tide. "Let's check the door at the end of the hall," I suggested, hoping against hope that it would lead us to safety. I glanced back, every instinct screaming at me to run, but we could not abandon our resolve, not when the children needed me to guide them through this waking nightmare. That we reached the door, a tall, imposing figure outlined by splintering shadows that crept and crawled with life. I tested the handle, but it was cold and unyielding beneath my grasp. Feelings of despair threatened to drown me again. "It's locked," I said, frustration lacing my voice even as I wrestled with thoughts of the darkness pursuing us. Suddenly, I recalled the words of our mother, dancing on the very edge of memory. "Uncover the truth." Those words echoed like a beacon in the night. Perhaps there was something here, a key to unlocking not just the door but the secrets which had soared just out of reach. What if Emma's voice cut through the air, uncertain yet laced with an ember of hope? What if we look for something to break the door down? The idea, ludicrous as it seemed against the backdrop of this foreboding mansion, ignited a spark within me. Good thinking. There may be something nearby. That I began to search the nearby room, rummaging through the haze of dust and old furniture, desperately hoping to find a makeshift weapon. The twins flanked me, their eyes wide with unwavering trust, two small figures braced against the looming shadow of uncertainty. Just as despair began to seep back in, Ethan squeaked with triumph, hoisting a heavy brass candlestick over his head, unyielding even to the fear lurking in the corners. This should work, right? Absolutely. I grinned, a fragile warmth encasing my heart at the determination displayed in his tiny frame. The shift from dread to determination powered my limbs as I motioned him to approach the door. "On the count of 3, give it everything you've got," I instructed, my heart pounding against the wall of my ribs. Together, we anchored our small family unit, setting ourselves against the door's unyielding presence, fortifying one another with promises wrapped in thin strands of hope. "Ready?" I breathed, releasing a wavering breath. 1, 2, 3. Ethan swung the candlestick with all his might, our bodies colliding with the door's frame. A resounding crack echoed through the hallway, ringing fuller than my pounding heart. And then it happened. The door shuddered, splintering under our combined force, and slowly creaked open to reveal a pitch-black room beyond, a yawning void that seemed to suck in the very light around us. "Mom!" Emma called, her voice trembling as if in defiance against the shadowy unknown. Gingerly, I took a step forward, coaxing the twins along with me as we crossed the threshold. There, in the center of the room, stood an old, ornate mirror, encased in a frame twisted with dark vines, almost pulsating with despair. "What is it?" Ethan whispered, his eyes wide as he pointed. For an instant, I glimpsed something to flicker in the glass that felt almost like a heartbeat. But the reflection that held my gaze was not our own, it was our darkened surroundings reflected back, not in its somber form, but warped and twisted. It felt like a jolt, a connection to the energies that sought to manipulate and ensnare us. But, even as I felt the urge to step closer, a bone-chilling wind swept through the room, sending shivers rushing down my spine. Suddenly, the mirror rippled, shadows dancing at its edges as a voice, low and tainted with malice, echoed through the abyss. "Leave now, or lose everything." My heart raced as panic surged. I turned to the twins, their faces pale with terror, and in their eyes, I saw the flickering flame of innocence endangered by the very darkness we sought to escape. "We need to go now," I shouted, but as I spun to retreat, I felt a tug at my heart, an unsettling pull to the mirror as if it were calling my name. The darkness swelled moments like a tidal wave, and with it came a revelation, a name. "The Keeper," I whispered, knowledge flooding through me as I recalled our mother's urgency. a name etched in shadows but shining through the darkness like a beacon of truth. Before I could grasp the implications, the mirror cracked, spilling forth shadows that screeched and writhed, creeping closer, pushing us toward the threshold from which we came. With every ounce of strength, I snatched the twins by their hands and began to pull them back, the shadows clawing at our heels as we fled. The echoing voice boomed in the air again, a dark promise laced with threats that clawed at my sanity. "Your mother cannot save you." As we rushed back into the hallway, I felt desperation merge with clarity and resolve. We would not succumb to this darkness, not when the truth was so close, even if it meant standing against the very forces that threatened to devour us whole. And yet, as we barreled into the opposite wing of the mansion, a shocking realization gripped me, a new fear, gnawing at the edges of hope. Did the truth about the keeper lie within this house, and could it redefine everything we understood about our mother, our family, and ourselves? Before we could find the answer, the shadows surged forward, eager to reclaim us, and I felt the reality capturing us within its dark embrace, the threshold between the light and shadows diminishing by the heartbeat. The dim hall stretched before us like an ominous tunnel, each step echoing with dread. I forced my mind to focus, pushing back against the rising tide of fear that threatened to drown us. "Keep moving," I murmured. My heart pounded steadily as I stole glances back at the twins, their faces taut with worry but determination flickering like candles against the storm. "Mom!" Emma cried out once more, her voice rising above the shadows, desperate and haunting. I swallowed hard. The very idea of our mother being taken from us left a raw pain that felt all too real. I could see the worry etched on Ethan's youthful features, as if he was trying to be brave but was slowly unraveling. "Look." He pointed, pulling my attention to a vibrant, yet eerie tapestry hanging crookedly on the wall. Intricate patterns twisted around one another, depicting a family, and in the center, a figure I could hardly recognize, a woman cloaked in shadows, arms outspread as if beckoning us closer. My heart raced. It's just fabric." But even as I said it, I felt the inexorable pull of those embroidered eyes, filled with sorrow and longing. Did it belong to our mother? My breath hitched painfully in my throat. "Maybe she's trapped in there," Emma suggested, her voice quivering with belief and desperation. "Maybe we have to find a way to help her." "No, Emma, we have to be careful," I replied, trying to ground myself in reason, yet the tug of my heart whispered of the very possibility she suggested. "We don't know what that means." Ethan's small hand wrapped around mine, squeezing tighter. "But Mom always told us family means everything, right?" His innocence enveloped my heart with warmth yet served as a sharp reminder of all we stood to lose. "We need to keep going," I insisted, shaking off the pull of the tapestry woven from darkness. "We can't get distracted." But as we turned to continue down the hall, something shifted in the air, a crack, a quiver, like the universe inhaling deeply, and then an envelope of silence swallowed us whole. The shadows swirled tightly, nestling deeper into the corners and seams of the house, taking on a life of their own. Suddenly, light flickered, a glimmer of warmth. My heart leaped with both dread and hope. "Wait here," I instructed, but even as the words left my lips, the magical thread of anxiety had me moving forward, drawn to the glowing warmth. The hollow space opened into what was once a grand parlor, faintly lit by the golden glow of a single chandelier, its crystals trembling like delicate tears. Dust motes floated like lost souls in the air. As we stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted, thick with whispers barely above a sigh. "Do you hear that?" Emma urged, her brow knitted together with concern. I strained my ears, and indeed I could hear its soft murmurs, indistinct notes, as if voices from another time were reaching out to us through the veil of shadows. My breath caught. It sounded like our mother, woven with the voices of the past. "Mom!" I called, but only silence responded. Without thinking, I moved toward the side of the room, my eyes scanning for any clue that could help pierce this veil. Tucked between the wall and a sofa was a small, old trunk, half buried in dust. I knelt and pulled it toward me, a sense of destiny sparking within my fingertips. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked, stepping nearer, his grip tightening around my wrist. "I don't know," I admitted, my heart racing as a whirlpool of emotions surged within me. But I feel like this might be able to help. As I lifted the trunk's lid with trembling hands, old letters spilled forth like leaves in a storm, yellowed, fragile, bloodstains as a testament to history laid bare. Wave after wave of emotion crashed against my heart. I recognized the painstakingly familiar handwriting in those fragments. Our mothers, this is Mom's. I gasped, flipping through the letters with haste. My breath caught with each penned word, captured memories, dreams, and darker musings. Had our mother known of this place, of its pull? Did she leave a piece of her behind, hidden in the darkness? Just then, one of the letters slipped between my fingers, fluttering towards the ground. My heart sank as I bent to retrieve it, but as I grasped it, I felt a chill ripple through the air. The shadows flickered menacingly. Something else lingered, an undeniable presence, yearning to be unearthed. Read it, Mom. Emma urged, eyes wide with hope, and the weight of the moment settled on my shoulders. That I turned the letter over, heart pounding as I began to read. The words, laced with sorrow, told of trials, of struggles with a darkness that lived within our family's lineage. You have to be brave, I read aloud. The keeper will always seek us, but love is the light in darkness. But before I could finish, the hanging shadows pressed in, morphing and twisting as the intricate designs of the tapestry began to undulate and breathe, ruthless and enthralling. The murmurs grew louder, morphing into screams, a cacophony of anguished voices erupting around us. Leave now, the voice boomed again, more frantic this time. You cannot stay here. Panic surged through me, a wave of urgency. I felt the letters slip from my hands, scattering like leaves in a tempest. We have to get out, now. I shouted, racing to the doorway, feeling the pull of the shadows growing fiercer. The twins followed, but as I looked back, I caught a glimpse of the mantel behind us. There, a family portrait, the four of us, framed in golden light, now held an empty space where a figure should have been. My breath hitched, a jolt of realization leaving a cold dread coiling around my spine. A veil had descended and our rightful place in the frame was broken, shifting the weight of familial love and grief. The air chilled as if the house itself mourned at the loss of what was fleeing the now menacing parlor. I grasped the twins' hands firmly, wondering if we truly were out of time. My heart raced as the shadows crashed against the doorway like a storm, chasing us, clawing at the remnants of my heart. When I finally turned a corner, we stumbled upon a staircase leading to a hidden alcove above the shadows, a place adorned with faded memories that seemed untouched by the encroaching darkness. I felt the shadows retreat. They were afraid of the light. Up there! I cried, pointing toward the staircase, but then I caught another movement behind me, a quick flicker of something, or someone, stretching out of the shadows, pulling me back. And as our escape momentarily faltered, I felt a jolt of fear gripping my heart, the sensation of losing Emma, losing Ethan, losing everything that still remained of our fragile family structure. We have to go, we can't let it catch us. I shouted, but deep down, a nagging thought burrowed into the depths of my mind. Was I watching them, or were they watching me? Because, as I turned to the staircase, my eyes reflected in that shadow, a realization bloomed. Perhaps the keeper was not just a being lurking to ensnare our family. Perhaps it was part of us all, lurking behind the corners of our waking lives. That we raced up the stairs, fueled by urgency and fear as the shadows whispered behind us, their cries twisting into a cacophony of desperation. Before I reached the last step, I felt a fleeting warmth brush against my skin, the echo of our mother's fading voice wrapping around me like a shroud, urging me to unearth the truth, ever closer to uncovering more than I ever imagined. And just as we reached the top, a new revelation burst wide open. A resonating pulse of light against the oppressive darkness began to awaken, unveiling a haunting family story that demanded to be told. But before I could fully grasp what this meant, a fresh wave of shadows lunged with unyielding fury, bearing down on us, forcing me to confront the very essence of the keeper and all the uncertainties that lay ahead. The moment we reached the top of the staircase, time seemed to hang in that stillness between breaths. The air flickered with a tinge of warmth, teasing the icy grip of the shadows that chased us. I turned to Emma and Ethan, their faces trembling in the dim light, a chaotic mix of hope and fear mirrored in their wide eyes. It was becoming increasingly clear that what lay ahead could bring either salvation or loss. Stay close, I whispered, scanning the dimension before us. The hall opened into a larger room, an ethereal light spilling from an ancient window draped in cobwebs, illuminating dust motes that danced like spirits. Furniture, draped in white sheets, stood sentinel, waiting to share their secrets. That is this a hidden attic? Ethan murmured, taking a cautious step inside, his curiosity battling his fear. As he moved closer to the window, the light seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, beckoning us to explore. The shadows behind us roiled restlessly, their murmurs now a threatening low growl as if sensing our transient refuge. "We can't linger," I urged, but I felt the pull of the room. Each corner seemed to hold whispers of memories long forlorn. I stepped further in, drawn by both dread and a faint hope that maybe here, amidst the draped remnants of the past, lay a key to unraveling the entwined fates of our family. The twins ventured closer, and together we began peeling away the sheets, revealing forgotten treasures, relics of a life before the shadows had consumed us. There was an old wooden trunk, much like the one we had encountered below, its surface intricate with carvings reminiscent of the tapestry. My heart raced. I sensed it contained more than just dust and nostalgia. It pulsed with the essence of our family, a bittersweet longing buried deep within the heart of this home. Should we open it? Emma asked, her voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. I nodded, though doubt wormed its way into my mind. What truths could it hold? What darkness might we unearth in our quest for understanding? As we lifted the heavy lid, an array of photographs spilled forth, black and white images that captured fleeting moments of laughter and serene joy. There she was, our mother, radiant as the sun, her smile a mirror of love that reached out to us through the years. Her eyes sparkled with warmth, the stark contrast to the shadows that enveloped us. "Oh, look!" Ethan exclaimed, holding up a photo of her cradling two infant twins, a picture full of life, untainted by the woes that lay ahead. "She was so happy here." "Maybe she left these for us," I whispered, the weight of the moment causing the sorrow to swell within me. "To remind us of who we are and who we can still be." But as I sifted through the photographs, I felt a chill racing down my spine. Among the images, one stood out: our family posed at a picnic, but looming in the background was a shadowed figure with piercing eyes watching, an uncanny presence haunting the edges of our bliss. My breath caught, a new level of fear unfurling in my chest. "What's wrong?" Emma noticed the shift in my demeanor, her eyes flicking to the image in my hands. "Nothing," I replied quickly, pushing the unease aside. Yet, as I glanced back at the figures within the trunk, layers of questions piled upon me like a shroud. Was this keeper walking among us, subtly tethering our fates, able to shift through shadows unnoticed? From the corner of my eye, I noticed a spellbinding glow emanating from a small drawer beneath the trunk. Hesitantly, I opened it, revealing a delicate locket, its surface worn yet gleaming with a faint golden hue. It felt alive in my hands, thrumming as if it held the heartbeat of our past. "Is that a key?" Ethan asked, eyes wide with wonder. "To something." I gently opened the locket, revealing two tiny portraits, one of our mother in her youth and another, an unfamiliar woman whose gaze pierced through the ages. A shiver crawled up my spine. Who was she? Why did her hauntingly familiar features mirror our mother's? "Look at this woman," I said, turning the locket toward the twins. "There's something unsettling about her." As if answering my unspoken fears, the whispers that had faded suddenly surged back, filling the air with a cacophony of echoing voices, a blurring of past and present. "You cannot escape, you must join," they called, the intensity wrenching my heart with terror. "The keeper seeks what belongs to her." With a sudden surge, the shadows clawed at the edges of our sanctuary, their presence thickening like storm clouds. "We can't stay now," I shouted, urging the twins, my instincts igniting an urgency to escape this place that felt increasingly suffocating. As we bolted towards the staircase again, the shadows lunged hungrily at our backs, a grasping, angry wave of darkness. I felt the locket slip from my fingers. A moment of desperate hesitation ensnared me as I faltered to retrieve it, but a frantic whisper from the twins pulled me forward. "Just go!" Emma screamed, terror igniting her voice. I forced my eyes from the locket and sprinted, feeling the chilling breath of darkness skimming the nape of my neck, nipping at the heels of my fading hope. We stumbled onto the staircase, the weight of impending despair pressing down upon us as we dashed down the steps. And then, an echoing voice resounded in my mind, you must understand who you are," a chilling reassurance that echoed through the dissonant cries of the keeper. Heart pounding, I propelled Emma and Ethan downwards, the shadows climbing like vines, creeping ever closer. Suddenly, an unexpected flicker danced around us, a warm pulse weaving through the oppressive grayness, forcing the shadows momentarily to recoil. "Mom!" Emma gasped, her voice breaking the spell of darkness and filling the air with a glimmer of hope, but before I could respond, a blinding light erupted from within the depth of the shadows, illuminating a hidden door that had not been there before, the door to answers we desperately needed. A revelation swelled inside me, a promise of clarity that lay just beyond its threshold, mingling with both hope and fear. As we rushed towards it, I clutched Ethan and Emma tightly, torn between the tether of the past that held us back and the unknown that might free us. The keeper was evolving, and alongside it, we raced toward distinct truth, not just about our mother, but about the darkness that swirled within us all, ready to unveil the tale our hearts had yet to comprehend. As we neared the door, a pulse of recognition froze me in place. The shadows lurked, ready to drag us back, ready to claim the fate we were so desperate to escape. And with a dawning realization of what it truly meant to lose not just our mother, but potentially ourselves to the lingering shadows of our family's legacy, our next step would determine whether we would emerge in light or succumb to darkness forever. The door swung open with an agonizing creak, revealing a sanctuary bathed in ethereal light. Inside, the air felt charged with energy, flickering like the heartbeat of something unearthly. My heart raced as I stepped into the unknown, pulling Ethan and Emma by the hands. I could feel the oppressive shadows swirling behind us, but for the first time, a soft warmth embraced us, soothing the chill that had turned our skin to ice. This new space held potential, a promise that seemed woven into the threads of history that had irrevocably bound our family, our mother. Emma whispered, her voice barely a breath as she took in the surroundings, her eyes wide with wonder and apprehension. Unfortunately, that soft warmth overshadowed the grip of fear. The door slammed shut behind us with a resounding thud, and dread settled over us like a thick fog. The room was lined with shelves, each piece adorned with artifacts that whispered stories of those long gone. A tapestry hung on the far wall, vibrant and alive with colors that seemed to dance in the warm glow. It depicted a senile lineage of guardians standing resolute against a torrent of darkness, their faces filled with courage. I felt an odd sense of familiarity with their expressions, as if a part of me recognized them, but the shadows clawed at the edges of my mind, whispering doubts. "Do you think we're safe here?" Ethan asked, his voice laced with trepidation as he glanced back toward the closed door, half expecting it to burst open. "Maybe," I replied, though uncertainty lodged itself deep within my gut. "But this is where we might find answers." "What is this place, really?" As we stepped further into the room, the tapestry pulsed with life. The images shifted subtly, reforming as though they were alive, inviting us to step closer and uncover the truths hidden within its fibers. Emma approached it cautiously, drawn by an unseen force, while I hastily searched the shelves for anything that could illuminate the journey ahead. Among the trinkets, I found a brass compass with intricate engravings. Its needle spun wildly at first, like it couldn't find its place. But when I held it steady, it began to point resolutely toward the tapestry. It felt significant, a sign that perhaps we were meant to follow its guidance. "Look at this." I called to the twins, and they hurried over. "It's like it's telling us where to go." "Where could it possibly lead?" Emma asked, uncertainty knitting her brows. "What if we uncover something more dangerous?" "We have to try," I insisted, clutching her shoulder gently. "We can't let our fears control us." "Not anymore." With a deep breath, the three of us gravitated towards the tapestry. As we drew nearer, the warm light began to intensify around it, shimmering as though it was welcoming us. Suddenly, the shadows at the edges of our sanctuary twisted, merging with the light in a dance of contrast that both frightened and intrigued me. It was a battle between light and darkness, the raw essence of our legacy unfolding right before us. The figures on the tapestry seemed to reach out, their hands outstretched as though imploring us for something. I could feel their energy, voices murmuring through the air like a gentle chant. This was not merely about our past, but a legacy intertwined with our very essence. Then, in a swift and startling motion, the tapestry unfurled, revealing a hidden passage behind it, beckoning us further into the heart of this mystery. My heart surged with trepidation, for I knew deep down that every step we took further into the unknown could lead us closer to understanding or closer to ruin. "Let's go," I urged, though my own voice trembled. As we entered the passage, I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, an unsettling sensation of being both hunted and revered. The further we walked, the darker the passage became, contrasted by the pulsing light that seemingly guided our steps. "What if the keeper is waiting for us?" Ethan questioned, his apprehension palpable in the damp air. "We won't let fear drive us," I reminded him, squeezing his hand tightly. "Together. Well, face whatever comes." Emerging into the next chamber, we were met with a breathtaking sight. A grand mirror adorned with ornate carvings loomed over us, its surface swirling with mist. The mirror seemed to reflect not just our appearances but the emotions that churned beneath. Striking images of our mother, long-lost friends, and the ominous figure from the photographs swirled within the glass, each face frozen in time as if seeking solace or clarity. "Wow," Emma breathed, stepping closer. That I felt a powerful pull toward the mirror, as if it were whispering to me, urging me to look deeper. The shapes within twisted, revealing secrets, fragments of memories intermingled with fear, joy, and heartbreak. Yet, among the confusion, I spotted the familiar shadow of the woman from the Lakita family connection threading through the chaos. "Who is that?" I pointed, heart pounding, as I realized the figure was a reflection of the unknown woman, flickering between despair and strength. The air thickened as our breaths became shallow. Suddenly, the shadows thickened around us, crawling across the ground like sentient vines. "You must choose." A voice echoed from deep within the mirror, each syllable reverberating like a tolling bell. "Will you embrace the darkness or fight to uncover the truth?" In that harrowing moment, I felt the weight of our lineage pressing down on us. Would I dare to challenge the keeper, or would I succumb to the shadows that sought to reclaim what they believed was theirs? Before I could respond, the chamber trembled with an intensity that shook my very being. And then it happened. An explosion of light erupted from the mirror, blindingly illuminating everything around us. I clutched the twins, ready to shield them from the impending chaos, but the light evaporated as quickly as it had come, leaving behind a profound silence. As I blinked against the dazzle, standing amidst the remnants of echoing voices and flickering shadows, I realized something staggering. The mysterious woman wasn't just a stranger. She was intertwined with our legacy, another piece of the haunting puzzle that dictated our family's fate. The air crackled with electricity as the voice returned, whispering urgently, "Time is running out. You must decide." With one last look at Emma and Ethan, I steeled myself. The revelations were about to cascade like falling leaves, and somewhere within, I felt the tempest of our history urging us forward. The keeper awaited, and our choice would echo far beyond today. Each heartbeat resonated with the delicate balance of truth and darkness, and as we stood on the precipice of revelation, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The weight of the mirror's message clung to me, palpable as the shadows that danced around us. An insistent whisper echoed through my mind, "You must decide." My heart raced, teetering on the edge of panic. The world around us felt suspended in time, and I could sense that every second we lingered brought us closer to a darkness that yearned to envelop us completely. Ethan's grip tightened around my hand, his wide eyes mirroring my own fear. Emma, on the other hand, stood mesmerized by the swirling images, her features twisted in confusion, fascination, and a flicker of hope. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice slicing through the stillness. I barely recognized my own voice when I finally spoke. "We face it together, whatever it is. No more running or hiding. It's time to confront this legacy head-on." I hesitated before adding, "If we're meant to uncover the truth, then we must be brave enough to handle it." The shadows flickered at our words, and the mirror pulsed with a life of its own, as if it could feel our resolve. For a moment, I thought I glimpsed a glimpse of our mother's face emerging from the depths of the glass, her expression filled with longing, urging me to press on. "Whatever happens next, we can't turn back." I took a deep breath, looking from Ethan to Emma and back again, then took a step closer to the mirror. The energy surrounding us crackled, almost urging me to touch the surface. "We have to know what she wanted to tell us." As my fingertips brushed the smooth, cool glass, a jolt of electricity coursed through me, and the images within the mirror grew clearer. I saw my mother standing in a garden, vibrant and alive, her laughter ringing in the air like music. The vision shifted, the garden transforming into shadows creeping in around her, forcing her to turn and fight. Suddenly, the images coalesced into a moment I hadn't anticipated: a clandestine meeting, frantic whispers, and promises exchanged in the dead of night. A name floated to the surface of the otherworldly chaos: Damon. Who is Damon? I murmured, my breath hitching in my throat. Something about the name sent shivers down my spine, stirring a haunting familiarity. I don't know, Ethan replied, stepping alongside me, squinting at the twisting shadows dancing within the glass. But we need to find out. Emma's voice cut through our unfolding revelations, uncertain yet firm. If we're meant to defeat the darkness, then perhaps knowing this Damon is the key. Her determination illuminated her features, and despite the danger closing in around us, a flicker of hope ignited in my chest. With a heavy heart and uncertain hands, I pressed deeper against the mirror, seeking answers that might illuminate our next steps. The air rippled, and suddenly the chamber around us was filled with shrieks of laughter, a phantom echo of our childhood. The imagery warped, features transforming into dissonant versions of our faces, filled with fear, happiness, anger, all the emotions raw and unfiltered, as if they were snapshots from our past, the wanted and the unwanted. Damon. I whispered again, the name weaving through my thoughts like a specter. The sound elicited a reaction. I felt warmth radiating from the mirror, but it flickered uncertainly, as though a tempest raged beneath the surface. Your time is almost up, the voice from the mirror warned, sinister and enticing. You must choose now: embrace your lineage or remain shackled to the shadows. Amnesia.no. We won't forget, I replied, shaking off the chill creeping up my spine. I could not allow fear to dictate our fate any longer. But just as I felt the collective resolve strengthening between us, a rumble erupted from the chamber walls, shaking the very foundations beneath our feet. The shadows darkened, quaking with insatiable fury. Suddenly, the mirror exploded with light, engulfing us in a blinding flare. I stumbled back, shielding my eyes as the chamber spun, reality becoming a collage of colors and sounds, folding in on itself. In the midst of chaos, a hand grasped firmly around mine, Ethan's hold anchoring me through the whirlwind. My eyes fluttered open, scanning the remnants of the mirror's brilliance. We found ourselves on a threshold, transformed landscape around us, reminiscent of the garden I had seen before, blooming with vibrant flowers casting the air in fragrant bliss. But a heaviness loomed, a shadow falling over the warmth as branches twisted grotesquely, wrapping thicker and darker towards the sky. A figure emerged from the shadows, piercing our serene moment with an unsettling presence. He stepped into the light, revealing sharp features and deep, knowing eyes. Damon. Welcome, he said, a smile that did not reach his eyes stretching across his face. I've been expecting you. My heart dropped, an icy dread flooding through me. As his gaze locked onto mine, I understood. This man held the key to our legacy, but knowing that he held it left none of us with any faith in what that might mean. The shadows stirred, flickering dangerously at the edges of our visions, and an urgent question revolved within my mind: were we here to reclaim our history, or had we just stepped into a trap from which there was no escape? The weight of Damon's presence hung thick in the air, an unsettling tension tightening around us. My heart stumbled as I assessed the formidable darkness pooling behind him like a predatory animal lying in wait. The flickering shadows sought to claw at us, desperate to reclaim what had been lost, and I felt the children flinch beside me, their small forms quaking with uncertainty. Expecting us? I managed to reply, my voice threading through the thick tension. Is that what you were hoping for, to finally bring us here? The shadows around him twisted, almost as if echoing my defiance, and I found the courage to step forward. If we were to face this darkness, we had to confront it, rooted in the truth of who we were. His eyes glinted with something unspoken, a mixture of recognition and disappointment. You don't understand yet, do you? His voice oozed with a cruel charm that made me want to recoil. Each of us has a part to play in this tragic tale, and yours has only just begun. Tragic? Emma echoed, stepping slightly ahead of Ethan, her brows knitting together in disbelief yet tinged with undeniable resolve. "Why do we have to be part of your story? We're not afraid of you." A chilling laugh escaped his lips, the sound winding through the air like smoke. "Fear is a powerful ally. Perhaps you'd like to reconsider." But before we could respond, shadows rolled forth behind him, swirling like a tempest and threatening to engulf the fragile light in the garden. It was a reminder that the battle was not merely for truth, but a battle of identities, a fight for our very souls. I held tightly to Ethan and Emma, feeling the spark of courage burgeon inside me as if it were drawing strength from the roots of our own familial love, and I wasn't about to let that shimmer fade. "You won't take that from us," I said fiercely, locking eyes with Damon, knowing I had to inspire bravery in my children and conquer the shadows lurking within me as well. Damon's expression shifted and awareness flickered behind his eyes, the shadow of recognition flashing before being shoved back behind his smirk. "Very well," he said, stepping closer, a magnetic pull gripping the space between us. "If it's a battle you seek, come, venture through the garden, discover the truth of your legacy and who you are against the keepers will." With a wave of his hand, the garden around us shifted, the delicate flowers morphing into darkened thorns. My heart sank, realizing this was more than just a garden, it was a reflection of our very struggles, the love entwined throughout our family's existence marred by the darkness that sought to consume it. "What's at stake if we follow you?" I asked desperately, fearing the answer that would seal our fate. "Everything," he replied, a satisfaction lining his voice. "But it will bring clarity. The truth may shatter your very perception." The shadows replied to his words, crawling closer as if encouraging me to make the final decision of my life. It was an ultimatum that reverberated in my chest. And with each heartbeat, my resolve strengthened. I turned to my children, their eyes sparkling with courage that mirrored my own. "We'll face the truth together," I said firmly. "No matter what it is." Without another moment's hesitation, I stepped into the garden, feeling the oppressive shadows pull back momentarily as Damon led us deeper into its heart. "Your family history has threads of light spun within dark fabric," he mused aloud, guiding us through the lavish garden that had been tainted by time, exposing the truth surrounding us. "You're not merely a product of your lineage, you are the catalysts for change." In that moment, those words struck a chord deep within me. Our family's story was not just a burden to bear but a legacy laced with power. I suddenly saw glimpses of our past flickering among the flowers, memories entwining with the sorrow that lingered. The visions displayed our mother holding essentially the same locket I had discovered, her hand steady as she whispered prayers over the twins' sleeping forms, promising that love would always guide them home. The shadows flickered at the edge of the garden, but they hesitated, unsure in the presence of such light. "Do you see?" Damon remarked, noticing the slight shift in his dark companions. "Even now, they know they're losing their grip. What do we have to do?" I asked, moving closer to the shimmering tapestry woven into the garden's vines, feeling its pull against my fingertips, urging me towards something primal and sacred. "Accept your place as a guardian," he whispered, gestures flowing towards the depths of darkness that loomed. "Defy the keeper and release the burdens of the past. Acknowledge that shadows are mere reflections, not the truth." Those words settled around me like a cloak, and with growing certainty, I gripped Ethan and Emma's hands tightly. "We are not defined by who we were, we have the power to redefine our legacy," I said, the conviction burning within me as I looked into their radiant eyes. "Together, we are stronger than anything this darkness can throw at us." With that declaration, the shadows writhed, an anguished roar echoing from the dark corners of the garden. I could feel the bated breath of fate surrounding us, an uncharted path unfurling before us. As crimson petals swirled, I reached for the locket once more, the golden heart of our legacy pressing against my palm. The wind surged, and a blinding light emerged from the depths of the garden, refracting colors through the oppressive gloom. I squeezed the twins' hands tighter. "Now, let's reclaim what's ours." As we took a collective step forward, the shadows recoiled, and in that moment of sheer willpower, I realized our mother's love was the pulse of life coursing through use, an intrinsic power that allowed us to traverse through darkness hand in hand, melding memories of a shared past with the promise of unyielding resilience that we broke through the threshold, determination guiding our steps as the shadows swirled, whirling around us in tumult. We would not be afraid. We would breach the keeper's realm and illuminate the shadows that had held us captive for far too long, and then, as I opened my eyes to the heart of the Gardena place, so Olivian overwhelming warmth enveloped us, and with it, the darkness melted away. Maybe embracing the truth wasn't about walking blindly into the shadows but about letting the light of our bonds guide us through, and with that final step, the realization erupted, a deep understanding that while darkness may always exist, it was ultimately love that formed the backbone of our shared legacy, illuminating even the most forbidden paths. We are more than shadows, I breathed, the truth setting the stage for our vibrant future, and together, we are unstoppable. The shadows faltered, and in one carried breath, we ushered in our family's legacy anew, ready to reclaim our power, rewrite our story, and let love be our guiding force. In that moment, I understood the final lesson taught by the keeper: the only true shadow was fear itself, and the light lived on within us, growing brighter than any darkness could ever hope to extinguish. Turning back towards the shimmering light, I took a step forward with my children by my side. With love in our hearts and courage lighting our way, we embraced this boundless journey ahead, threads of unity weaving the quilt of our destiny that would illuminate the way forward, forever etched in our souls. The shadows faded into obscurity, and we surrendered the final line: we are the light that cannot be dimmed.